We'll now call the legislation session committee meeting to order for, what is today? Today is November 16th. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd,
Present.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderman Coder,
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Muhammad.
Here.
Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Martin,
Present.
Alderwoman Navarro,
Present.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Present.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Chairman Vollmer,
Present.
President Reed,
Here.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. 9 present, you have quorum.
Thank you very much, Sharita. With that, we will move for approval of minutes from November 9th and November 10th. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion I'll make the motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll entertain a second.
Second.
All right, Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderman Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Muhammad,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg, Alderwoman Martin,
Aye.
Alderwoman Navarro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Chairman Vollmer,
Aye.
President Reed.
Aye.
10 aye votes.
Thank you again, Sharita. With that, we'll move on to the item at hand, the ongoing legislative board bill of redistricting. What we are going to do today is show the 4th version of our work over this past months, and there's a few tweaks from the last one. So what we are going to do is share the screen, go over it. You'll see the changes. There's just a few, and all of these changes were done with community input, direct input from the aldermen representing the areas, responding to their communities. So just like last night, we had a community input session with 19 speakers. We, I believe, have now over 300 people who have used the portal. And I believe 6 or 7 direct changes have happened to the map from the portal as we spoke last night. So again, this is one of the most community involved redistricting maps ever done because of the type of map it is, changing this from 28 to 14 wards. So Mr. President, you and Thomas want to share the screen, or are we operating that way today?
Yes, so I'll share my screen to go over it. Okay, can everybody see that? So can everybody see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the current map, version 4, which is up live on our website. Just did that at 3:50 because part of what we're going to do today is we're going to go back there and I'm going to walk through some of the stuff there. So some of the things that changed on this map versus the version 3, this map we focused on cleaning up some of the extensions that were on some of the wards to make them more compact. So we'll walk through that. We received community input on a number of different things, some wards that in some wards where they wanted to see the neighborhoods more intact. So we worked on some of those things and just tried to address some of the community concerns or questions or desires, I guess the best way to put it, through this map. So starting down here in Ward M, if you remember on the old map, Ward K had a little extension coming through here that picked up Wilmore Park, right, for population reasons and other things. So we were able to now encompass Wilmore Park directly into Ward M, which makes both Ward M and K more compact, which is a good thing. But to complete that, it caused a shift down through this area. So you'll see some slight changes in this area down through here. And you know, between now and the end of the week, we'll be talking with any of the aldermen or anybody that has any concerns about these changes down through here. And then the next big change was I'm going to turn on the neighborhood layer. So making Tower Grove East whole. So Tower Grove East right through here, they really, you know, made a good case for, you know, the reason they need to remain whole and consolidated in one area. So we were able to do that. And if you remember on the old map, this piece here was cut out, right? And shifted over, you know, to the opposite ward. But we were able to take all of Compton Heights. So now the borders of Compton Heights, all of Compton Heights is now in one ward, which is in Ward I. And now all of Tower Grove East is in one ward, which is in Ward H. That also caused us to extend a little bit further down here into Dutchtown. If you remember in the old map, Ward I took in these first couple blocks of Dutchtown. So now it's just extended a little bit further. But again, this is the area that I think we will, you'll see some changes in this very next map. We also have looked at part of this area to see if there are ways to shorten this extension that's coming down from Ward G. So we're working with the alder people and any of the community people that come forward about this piece also. It's good the way it is, but you know, we want to be, we don't want to be close to the line. We want to be as legally compliant as possible. It still passes a solid compactness test the way it sits, but you know, it's just one of those areas that I think will be good for us to look at a little bit more detail. Let me zoom out. Go up here. And like I said, the change to Ward M also caused the, you know, Ward K to lose a little bit of population that was wrapped up in that Wilmore Park. But we were able to get all that done and keep all of these neighborhoods and everything intact the way we had originally for the most part. Then coming up through the center. We've been getting a lot of requests from the residents that are here in Ward B because of the things that their community have worked on along this riverfront, and just, you know, their connection to that riverfront area, and you know, their neighborhood being able to still carry out some of the things that they've worked on through the years, and they think it would be more enhanced by being able to have them and as much of this area as possible in the same ward. So what you see here is the beginning of that, where we've moved a little more of that riverfront into that area to make sure we keep some cohesion moving forward, and assure the residents over there that they can still have, be able to have all of the things that they've been working on in one area so that they can advocate to just that one alder person. Part of what you see here, hold on a second. So when we wrap up closer to the end, along the riverfront, I just want to show you all so you kind of know. So along the riverfront, so you see these census block areas that have no people in them, like this one here, that goes right down the riverfront. It's a really long census block area. So part of what happens at the end of this process and for the last map, Alderman Phyllis Young and I worked on this together, where I did the process to break up the extended census blocks in the database, and then she went back and reset them all. So part of what you'll see along this riverfront is this line more than likely will end up going straight across here, right? And that's going to be based on our compactness report to see, how this ward shapes up in terms of compactness. So part of the challenge that any city has when they're doing redistricting are following the natural boundaries of the city, right? So the natural boundaries of a lot of cities, like the city of St. Louis, isn't very compact. And this is a perfect example. You have this long, narrow area that extends pretty far up the riverfront, right? That's part of the city of St. Louis. Very little, if no population in it. But that area has to be accounted for within one of the districts within the map. District B is a natural district for it to connect to, but when you encompass a long area like that, it also impacts the compactness of that area. Because you remember, I talked to you all about a number of compactness formulas that we can use. So what we hope to have by the end of the week are examples of at least 3. So we will run those 3 main compactness formulas on every ward. So all of you kind of get an idea of what we're shooting for and where we need to be compliant. But in cases like this, the courts don't rule against you because you had to include a piece of the city that is long, that doesn't have any population in it. But there are also compactness formulas that take into account long, narrow areas. So maybe part of our narrative at the end may include something related to this and have a different compactness formula run on this area because of that long extension. Coming back toward downtown, I think those are the main things. Those are some of the main things that we worked on in this plan. And Chairman Vollmer, you and Tom will have to chime in if I've missed anything. I know you all were working on a number of other things with some of the aldermen.
Those are, no, Mr. President, those are the changes that, are the version of this map through the meeting last night and through some other comments. There's some interest in doing something with the Kings Oak area. Apparently, over the past year or so, they've actually technically, because there's a very, very small compact area, they've been working and becoming part of Forest Park Southeast. Now, I think it might work numerically. What we have to worry about is taking that veer off to the left there, because all of a sudden you lose your nice, compact ward, and you're taking a little, turn to the west there, so to make it look like we're not hunting for something. But they have documentation where Kings Oak, being so small as it is actually joining. I think they even have paperwork filed to join Forest Park Southeast Neighborhood Association. So if that fits into the scenario, we're going to try and make that work. But that's something Tom and I will be trying to make the numbers and that thing work tonight to make it look right. It is, Kings Oak was put back there because keeping what is known as the Dogtown area whole, but the Cheltenham area is kind of more of the Dogtown area, where Kings Oak, you're separated there by, all the museums and St. Louis University High and everything in between there. So they're kind of just that little bit at Oakland and Kings Highway, just to the east of St. Louis University High School. So they're kind of a little island unto themselves with nowhere to go. So, it's the closest neighborhood association actually that they feel comfortable with is Forest Park Southeast. So that's part of that tonight. Cleaning census tracts up. We've been looking at that part of J that goes across Kings Highway, trying to make that work to square J off, because Kings Highway is a natural border. That is the completion that keeps the Southwest Garden Neighborhood Association whole. But even having lived in this area, in that area, when you look at the street signs that say Southwest Garden Neighborhood Association, on the east side of Kings Highway, they say Garden District. On the west side of Kings Highway, they say Hill District. So they think of themselves as like a split neighborhood association already. But the numbers are tough to make up when you start adding that into the Shaw and Tower Grove South. It puts things askew, and we actually, I believe we go over number wise. Now we're starting to push up and out into other places, and it also hurts the racial makeup of Ward H in the long run, which is one of our 2 African American wards south of in South St. Louis. So those are the problems that we had before us through community input at this point.
And then the other thing that I want to cover real quick, and I think is important to cover, is the reason I have the color-coded polarity map up is because we've just received a lot of requests and just information on where people are clustered, right? So this is the map you look at to see where people are clustered. So if you look on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see Asian population, Black population, Hawaiian, American, Hispanic, and non-Hispanic, right? So largely there's been a request from some people who said, well, why aren't we building districts to be majority Hispanic wards or clusters? Challenge is you have to have enough of that population clustered together. So what we would be looking for are the darker bluer shaded up to the lighter bluish shaded areas to be able to see where that population is clustered. But I'm going to turn the streets off because it'll be a little bit easier to see. Hopefully you can see the colors a little bit better. So you see down here at the bottom of Ward H, actually, let me just start up on the other side of the city because I think it's worth it kind of walking through the city so people can see for themselves. So when you start up far north, and again, the greener colors are Asian population. I'm gonna turn the parks off so that there isn't any confusion. And then, darker pinks to lighter pinks, African American, orange, Hawaiian, purple, American Indian, and blue, Hispanic, and gray, non-Hispanic. So when you begin walking through the city, all right, then you get down here toward the west end, you see there's a cluster of a population of Hispanic here. And then when you go into Hamilton Heights, there's some Hispanic population here and a little light square there. And then going across the city, you just don't see much Hispanic population throughout the city. You see there's a cluster right there, plus there's Hispanic population through there, and you can kind of get an idea. Then once you get down to Covenant Blue, You have some Hispanic population there, here. And then coming on down through the city, you have a little bit of population there. I'm looking for the larger clusters, so you can see down through here, down through when you get to the downtown west area and stuff, you see, you know, a little bit of cluster there, but still not enough to make up a ward or any significant difference in the total voting population within that area. Then coming down through Soulard, you see, small sprinkles of clusters down through these areas, but again, not enough to be significant. And then down in Benton Park West, small cluster here, and so on and so forth. And then over in Bevo Mill, you see just small clusters down through here in Bevo Mill. So we have a decent Hispanic population. It's still not a huge Hispanic population when you look at it in the end across the city, but there's just not enough Hispanic population clustered together to draw a district that would be a legally compliant district that would account for a significant amount of Hispanic population, because it's just so spread out throughout the city. And it's pretty well the same with the Asian population. So you can do the same thing with the Asian population. And we will print these maps off on a ward by ward basis so that people can get a sense of it. And the other item of importance is that when we look at the various different categories and having some conversations with residents and people this last week, one of the things I recognize is that people are getting confused between race and ethnicity, right? So I think there is a fair amount of education I think we should partake on and really try to get some more information out of the difference between race and ethnicity, because that's a very important distinction, especially when you're looking at census data, because all of the data, to understand the data you're looking at, it's important to understand the separation between race and ethnicity, because there are only a handful of races, but there are, if you look at the data that we output for the main map, there's something like 486 some odd categories, right? And of the 486 categories, about 480 of them, 81 of them are ethnicities, opposed to race. So the races are the main categories, that the Census Bureau accounts for. And then all of those other subcategories are ethnicities. So if you are, for example, if you're white, you could be an Irish American, you could be Hispanic that self-identifies as white, you could be German, Jewish, all the other ethnicities that come under that one category of race. So I just wanted everybody to see this. So when you look, so for example, L is one of the minority preference wards, and it's really simple to see how and why, because you look here, this is just, very, very densely populated African-American population down through this area. And when you come into H, you see is, very, very densely populated, highly populated African-American area also, right? So, and then of course, when you get into, downtown and Central Corridor, you see, that the shift where it becomes very heavily African American the further north that you go. But for I know some people this week said, "Oh, you guys are drawing African American wards, but you're not drawing Hispanic wards." And I want to just let people know we're following the data, and the data is the only thing we can do a drawing based on. I've also had a couple people this week inquire about the shapes again. I just want to remind people that we're following these neighborhood boundaries. So you see on H, H follows the boundaries of Botanical Heights. So that's the boundary of Botanical Heights, and that's why H has that boundary like that, right? These maps, the new map is, like I said, has been loaded up online already. The other thing I want to cover, I'm going to share another screen with you if you bear with me here. Wait a minute. So this is the map as this is the current one that's been loaded already by IT. So that's up and available. If you click in that area, you can scroll down and get all of the information, right, and see an exhaustive list of breakdown of the population within that area. You can also, with this box here, click this, expand it, so you can see it all like that also. And then one second. So here's this represents a list, a map of people who have used the portal to send us information, and I believe also a number of the people who have
Spoken publicly.
Yeah, spoken publicly, but they use the portal, but also emails also. So emails, portal, and also spoken publicly. And let me just check one thing here. So when you click on it, these comments, you can see the comment that the person left. We made it so that, that their addresses aren't shown or anything like that, but the comment, you can see the comment. This may, we have to, I think the committee should review it, and we should think hard and long before we release it, because we want to, I think some people may have sent their information, sent the comment in, but they may never want that comment to be made public. So, which is, but some of the people who made them publicly, they made them publicly, but anyway, so we now have that mapped, so you all can see the comments that people left, and and the things that they were asking for. All right. And then the other thing is, we're putting together a list. This isn't the entire list of it. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So this is redistricting, media presence, and community engagement. So this goes through, like, the various different media engagements we've had, whether we did radio shows, whether we did, news, TV news, anytime the Post-Dispatch, anybody wrote about it. We've also taken out, ads in the Post-Dispatch and the St. Louis American advertising our meetings. We've on social media, through Nextdoor. Nextdoor now has 86,000 residents on Nextdoor, right? So when you look, we posted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times on Nextdoor. Each time we're reaching 86,000 residents throughout the city of St. Louis. So, and any additional community meetings that we have, we will post it on Nextdoor also. And that is really good because it's unlike Facebook and Twitter and some of these other social networking platforms where we're not talking to specific city residents. When we post something on Nextdoor, we're talking directly to 86,000 St. Louis City residents, who are largely engaged, right? So we're going to continue to do that along the way. E-blast, community, city employees, 5,000 plus city employees, we blasted out there. Neighborhood organizations, we send 120, neighborhood community organizations been emailed throughout the city. Mailed to senior buildings. We mailed 60 senior buildings, 50 churches, and we're going to continue to mail them. Legislation committee public meetings, you all know about those because you attended them. And then this is just some of the community meetings I know myself I've attended, but this does not include other aldermen and the presentations you all made at community hearings, community meetings. This is a radio show. So, this is, they advertise 50,000 listeners and 10,000 people on their podcast. They have our stuff all posted on their site and have done numerous shows talking about what we're doing, talking about the map, telling people where they can go get information and all those stuff. St. Louis American boasts 100,000 readers. Post-Dispatch 124,000 print that we sent out in the newspaper. But we're working on completing this list so that you'll have a pretty exhaustive list of all of the outreach efforts that we've done in terms of working to get people engaged in this process, right? So that'll be available also. This is the redistricting map that we just finished discussing on the other side. Like I said, it's live and it's interactive for anybody who wants to go look at it and share the link. And also, I just want to thank all the committee members and non-committee members for all of their input and support. Like this past Saturday meeting, I have to thank Alderwoman Green for that. She made a great recommendation that we have that Saturday meeting, and I have to thank Alderwoman Davis for chairing it and for all the input that all of you all have put in over the course of this. We're getting closer to the end. So we'll be reaching out to people as we continue to refine it. And the other thing I want to tell people also, just so that we're on the same page. So where we are now, if you remember that very first map that we did, that first map was put together under the guidelines of keeping neighborhoods together, getting it as legally compliant as possible, but keeping neighborhoods together, right? So we want to see if that was doable. So that was the first charge. And if some of you probably remember, I didn't think, there's no way I thought we'd ever be sitting here and we'd have over 80% of the neighborhoods intact. I didn't think that was remotely possible. But what that first map did, it showed that it indeed was possible. And it showed it was possible while also creating there were enough dense population throughout the city to create the minority preference wards and keep us compliant with the Voting Rights Act of 1965. That was the first charge. So we got through that, and then it became a process of refining that. So we've been in this process of refining it. But I want like all of the, especially the aldermen who are tuned in, know from this place forward, right? Any change, even a slight tweak of a change, if you're changing a few blocks here or there or whatever, I think it also needs to, also need to make sure that we keep a vetting process in place so that, like, for example, when Tower Grove East down here when Tower Grove East wanted to be, consolidated, right? So through that process of consolidating Tower Grove East, conversations were had with people and folks surrounding that to assure that things were moving in the right direction, and that if it was possible, what is the effects downstream, right? So to this evening, part of what has to happen is, or between now and Thursday, starting this evening, is the downstream impact on this area, right? How do we push this back up closer to that square that we originally had, while keeping these populations in sync, and also assuring the communities of interest within those areas that we have not, hampered their ability to organize and to impact their government in a positive manner. So that is it from my presentation right now.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. All right, with that, we can probably take the screen down, I guess, unless we have questions in regard to showing something. What we'll do is we'll go through Alderman Boyd. Excuse me. All right. Alderman Boyd, any questions or comments on the fourth map here? Jeffrey, you with us? All right, we just have this wonderful picture pointing at us. So Alderman Davis, any questions or comment?
First of all, I want to just say thank you, because I know that it took a lot of time and consideration and conversations for all of the alderpersons to help us get to this point based on the input from community and also the charge that is given to us by the federal government. So I think it looks good. As you said, you want to try to get those two little tweaks taken care of, but as a whole, it's a map that I definitely can live with. As I've always said, no matter what an area looks like, if I choose to run for alderperson, I will be an alderperson that will serve that community to the best of my ability. So I'm okay with what I see now. But I wanted to ask if we could add to the list of contacts outreach, if there were any alderpersons who have made presentations at various
Yes,
neighborhood meetings to be added.
That would be great.
Okay.
And I'll send mine in, but I think that would be helpful, because it's important that the community knows that you have been out and you have been available to talk about this and explain it. We always get accused of being absent. So if you've been making presentations and working with groups, I think it would be great to have those listed.
Okay, maybe
And
we
that's
could.
it for me.
All right, we could probably have an email sent out to all the aldermen requesting a list of where they've spoken on this, Lewis. Would
Yes.
probably work very well. Okay, and then
That'd be perfect.
have them give that back to us. All right, thank you very much, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
Alderman Vaccaro, pardon me, Jeffrey's back with us. We'll go back to seniority. Jeffrey, are you Alderman Boyd? You ready to go, sir?
You know what? I'm going. You can save me for the end. Since I didn't respond when you first called me, I'll go at the end.
Such a gentleman. Thank you, sir. Alderman Vaccaro, questions or comments?
No, no, I'm good. I see. Got rid of that little tail that was going down to the park there. That Vollmer Park looks good. So no, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Coder, questions or comments, please?
Just, I guess, a question for the president. That he had that map up with showing the breakdown of public comments, and you could click on those. And I'm sorry if I missed this. Do we have access to those?
We are, that's part of what we're looking at. We have them. I don't mind sending you the link and you can have access to them. I don't think, you never know what will make a person upset. So I would say, I don't think we should share them outside of the board, just in case there's something in any of those texts that would make the person who sent it upset that the general public has access to it. So
Okay.
yeah, we have, we'll send you the
I'm
link.
sure based on this meeting, they'll get sunshined anyway, but yeah, if we could at least as committee members look at them,
Okay.
I'd be curious to see those comments,
Oh,
just all in one
absolutely.
place.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we put it together for that purpose, right? For the committee to have access to it and so for you all to be able to peruse those comments and see exactly what people have left and requested. So.
Great. Thank you. Nothing further, Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Coder. Alderwoman Pamela Boyd. Alderwoman Boyd, you're there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
All right, there you are.
Okay, I was like, I'm in the car, I had to park.
Okay.
Thank you for all the work that has been done. I just want to thank the residents that did come on and speak, because your voice is important to us. So I just want to thank everybody. I don't have any comments or anything right now. I just want to make sure that we continue.
Oh, we're losing you. Alderwoman Barr, we've lost your audio. I don't know if you can hear me. Well, she's muted. We'll try and come back to her. All right, Alderman Muhammad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no questions or comments. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. President.
All right, thank you very much. You're welcome. Alderman Oldenburg.
No, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Alderwoman Martin, still with us?
I am. I would love for the comments to be posted. I think we could just post the comments and not necessarily the names or addresses. I mean, they are public information anyways, but I think it would be interesting for neighbors to see kind of what the thought process is. But other than that, I don't have any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Navarro, questions or comments, please?
Thank you. Just a quick question. I'm wondering if we could get just the shape file of the most recent map so that we can overlay that with neighborhoods, and that would be really helpful. That's the only comment I have, but thank you so much for the work that's been done so far, and look forward to seeing all the comments.
All right, thank you. All right, Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Thank you. Just thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, for all the work that you all have done. I have no questions or comments.
All right, Alderman Clark Hubbard. She mean with us? I don't see. Okay, at that point, we'll go back to Alderman Boyd. You wanted to be the last in line. Please unmute. Jeffrey, you're muted.
Lower, yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. Let me lower my hand there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wow. This has been, in my mind, a very phenomenal process. I'm one of the few aldermen here at the Board of Aldermen who has gone through a redistricting process. This has never happened like this before. There's been a lot of talk about transparency. And I often, say to people, transparency is different for a whole lot of people. I think the president and you as chairman have done a phenomenal job as being open and being transparent. It's about being open, right? And about honest about what you're doing and engaging the community. And a lot of the input from the community has been phenomenal. Over 100 comments of people from the community. It's been phenomenal. And what a lot of people were interested in is, can you keep my neighborhood in the same ward? And I think that there's been a yeoman's job done in order to do that as best as possible. Now, it's not going to be 100% at all, but the fact that, you know, you guys are stretching to make sure that you accommodate as many people as possible, you know, deserve praise. There's been a comment about, you know, you don't deserve to pat yourself on the back, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I think we've come to the point where I will pat you on the back about the job you have done. If there are some people that think that the public had a role in physically drawing maps, that sounds great. We had a year to do this, you know, and there was a whole bunch of competing maps put before the committee. I think, you know, there will be an interesting challenge for us to deal with. But under the circumstances, under the pressure of there's only, you know, so many days left in the end of this year, I think that this committee has been extremely transparent. And I think the committee deserves accolades for the job that it has done. I'm just keeping it real. I just feel that there's some people, members of the public, that wanted to derail the process, that wanted to pick apart everything that has been done. And there's just no way that we can please everybody. There's absolutely no way. But I am so at peace with the job that has been done. I am a senior alderman. I have been put in a ward with 2 other aldermen. I have to run against 2 people that I admire and like tremendously. That is a lot. That is obviously not self-serving. Unfortunately, I wasn't like some aldermen because I live a certain distance from other people that I could get a ward that's drawn by myself. But here's what I want people to understand in the public. Not one alderman owns a ward in the city of St. Louis. And I don't care how much a constituent loves their alderman or alderwoman and wants that person to remain. It is not one constituent choice or a group of constituents or activist groups or interest groups or what do you call the people that's, you know, making all the donations to folks? You know, it's just not those people who decide who gets to represent the people. It's the individual voters collectively that gets to decide. So it doesn't matter how the map looks. It doesn't matter who your alderman is or alderwoman is. At the end of the day, whatever ward you're drawn into, you get to decide by one vote who gets to represent you. You get to be a champion if you're supporting one particular person, candidate that's running for alderman. You get to be engaged. Talk about public input. Talk about, you know, ownership in the process. Be a champion for that candidate. These wards that are drawn are not promised to not one person. I don't care if there's one alderman that's drawn and nobody else is drawn. That doesn't mean that person's going to win hands down. There's a whole new, I said this before, there's a whole new generation of voters out there. And they will decide, they will help decide who is going to best serve the city of St. Louis. Definitely who is going to best serve the community that they live in. So I'm not afraid. I want to pat the committee on the back. I think the committee has been as transparent as they possibly can. It has involved as much citizen input as they possibly can. Could you have done more? Maybe, maybe not. It just depends on who you ask. But as somebody who has been drawn in to a ward where there's 3 aldermen currently serving, you know, I'm going to say may the best person win at the end of the day. And I support the committee. I support all the hard work that this committee has put into this. Tom Shepard, kudos to him that's been working diligently. Kudos to the president. Kudos to the chairman, Vaccaro. You know, I got a chance to chair 2 meetings. Was beat the hell up, but I did it. You know, Alderwoman Davis chaired a meeting. I mean, we are being as accessible, more accessible than any group of aldermen in the history of redistricting. And I would hope that the community can appreciate the job that has been done. Will everybody be happy? Absolutely not. Will every alderman be happy? No. Will every constituent be happy? No. But we have a job to do. We are charged based on the charter to do a job for the people of the citizens of St. Louis. And that's what we're here to do. And so, again, I do pat the committee on the back for a good job. It ain't over, but still, I mean, this is the third or fourth iteration. It's a lot of work been put into this. This has not been easy. There's not been darts thrown up at a dartboard that says, hey, where it lands, or Teflon, if it sticks, then that's what we're going with. If it don't, too bad, you're out. You know, this is, I think every alderman's been communicated with. The constituency has been communicated with, and I'm proud to serve. It may be my last time serving. I got to run against two beautiful Black women. So good luck, Jeffrey Boyd. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jeffrey, Mr. Vice Chair. We have a meeting scheduled tomorrow for November 17th, 3 p.m. And I've been listening and gathering. I think with tomorrow, because we're going to try and work these little tweaks we talked about today and tomorrow. If there are any aldermen not on the committee, I will reserve time for them to weigh in tomorrow at the meeting. We'll try and keep the presentations for the aldermen around 5 minutes a piece. If you're not on the committee, because of all the other non-committee members decide to show up, it could be a 4-hour meeting. So I would ask you to get your comments and tighten them up. And I love to hear from the non-committee members tomorrow. So that's what tomorrow will be dedicated to. We'll start off and let them weigh in. We've spoken to most everyone privately. So and I'm hoping if there's any concerns as far as any other tweaks, please reach out to myself, the president, or this evening, because we, I will be doing this most of the night, trying to tweak these little things, the census blocks up and those things we talked about earlier, and tomorrow morning before the meeting, and hopefully come up with a final, version of this redistricting.
Yeah, the chairman's right. Yeah. No sleep tonight.
No, it's, we got. I mean, it's time to. You can. As my dad said, I said it last night. It's time to fish or cut bait. We can keep that line in the water all day, but ain't nothing hooking. We got to cut bait, and let's go draw it. Let's go do it. So, I again, all non-committee members, please prepare a presentation tomorrow if you would like, and we'll be happy to listen to all of you. And then after that, again, tonight, we'll be working on things that I spoke about earlier. If we can make up the Kings Oak, the Southwest Garden Neighborhood Association, and trying to get that all done and make those little things work.
There were some
proceed.
places up in the 21st ward that the ladies that spoke last night.
Yeah, those
all of those types of things.
For those of you who weren't on last night, there's a group of 3 blocks up there that we're trying to look at to see if we can again accommodate whatever works mathematically, legally, and does not change the fact that we have 7 minority preference wards and 7 majority preference wards. There are some things we could change and make things look like rectangles, but then we will be at the 8 and 6, and I don't believe that's where we want to be. I don't think, with the population from the census, we're doing everything to make this the best map we can. So please text, email, whatever you would like to do this evening and into tomorrow morning. The meeting's at 3, probably by 1 o'clock, we'll be taking a break and then getting ready for a 3 o'clock meeting. So without further ado,
Mr. Chairman, just one request. I'm sorry, just one request.
Sure.
So the map that shows all of the comments, right? There's over 300 comments
in the portal. Yes.
Through the portal. I would like to just take one more look before we release it, because I just don't want a mistake.
No.
What I don't want is somebody to have written in their email, hey, by the way, I'm so-and-so and I live on whatever block, right? So we remove the actual address and name. Sure. But I want to make sure that in the body of the message itself that nobody, I want to at least take a quick look at a handful of them just to get a feel for if anyone put their address
Sure.
in the body of
No,
their
no.
email.
We'll
Just
be
to-
editing all, well, that's fine. We will hold that pending, editing out any personal information, certainly.
Okay, all right. And I'm okay with giving it to the members of the board, but I'm asking them to treat it as such, and actually you all can help us. So if we send it out to you, maybe you can,
Yeah.
peruse them also.
Yeah, if you don't, it'll be Mary having to do all that work.
No, Heather, Heather's a hard worker like that too. Alderwoman Davis, Jeffrey, everybody pitch in. Carol, Gunther, you've been here every day, so you can pitch in. All right.
All right, yeah.
Thank
Anything
you.
that looks personal, we'll edit out for their safety. All right, without that, we will entertain a motion to adjourn to November 17th.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you all very much. See you tomorrow.